do with it. Oh, there we go.
No, hi guys, how you doing? I just explained to Dave how we are the only house in the street with walls now.
Dave, I'm Tim.
Sorry?
I'm Tim, not Dave.
Oh yeah, I was talking to Dave earlier. Hello, Tim. Right, shall we start again? Hi, and welcome to the Friday Live thing with me, Mark Thompson, and my good friend Tim Dave.
Tim Dave. Yeah, my middle name's David, so you know.
Oh, just right. No, sorry, we were just talking beforehand. I've been saying for weeks on that, it seems like months now, it all has been months, that we have the builders next door. They've now actually taken over every house in the street apart from mine and the one next door. And they have taken down every single wall. So we've got big walls at the front with garage doors in them so we can get into the houses. They've taken everything down and taken them all the way back about 10 feet. So literally, I'm living on a trench. Right in the middle of it is our house. So yeah, a bit weird, but it's quiet today because it was a bank holiday yesterday. So like in Spain, they always take the next day off and the weekend off. So right. So how are things, mate?
Good. I was going to start with the thing that we normally end up finishing talking about, which is what TV programs we're watching at the moment.
Oh, God.
And this does relate to actually what we're going to be talking about, or what I want to talk about today, which is email marketing stuff. But on Netflix, they have a program called, I think it's called Chef or Chef Stories or The Chef or something like that. And it's basically Jon Favreau, the guy from like a lot of the Marvel films, like the Tony Stark ones anyway. And he did a film a couple of years back, about 5-6 years ago, called Chef. Brilliant film. It's utter food porn. And he's just doing a series he's got a series on Netflix, which is him and the chef that taught him how to actually cook. The reason why I'm mentioning it, it's a great program to go and watch. It's his proper food porn. It's all about like how to make grilled cheese sandwiches, which in the UK is called a cheese toasty. And how to make pasta look utterly amazing. So there's things like that, which is a great TV program to watch. But there's a reason why I'm talking about that, because the email that I wrote this morning for Lean Greens relates to the idea from that TV program and from the film itself. So today we're going to be talking about email and
how to write emails.
Yeah, because I think
let's stop there. Let's go off track a little bit more before we start.
Go on,
food, right? So last night we had some dinner, and Alison cooked some chicken shawarma, right? And when we cooked it, the middle bit of it was a little bit almost underdone. So I'll just pop it back in for another 10 minutes, right? After we had the end bits and put the other bit back in. So anyway, 5 hours later, I smelled the neighbours cooking barbecue. Right? The neighbours are burning their barbecue. They walk into the kitchen, and guess what? She's gone to work and left the chicken in the oven at 180 degrees for 4 or 5 hours. I've now got a new recipe called chicken rock. And do you know how much chicken shrinks? Right?
Yeah.
Wait, I've got this bit like that was beforehand was like that. Right, so where we're talking before we got into this. Morning, Mark. Morning, Dave. Morning, Chris. Morning, everyone.
Oh, we've got people on.
Chris in Las Vegas has actually left me us the best comment ever on the call. Right, I'm going to put it up there because I've never seen something like this. I have two brunettes in the snug. Be right back. He works in a bar in Vegas.
Oh, right. Okay.
Love that. Right. Okay. Before we get to the email, Dave, I'm going to read out your spam email. This is absolute amazing because it's very rare that I've never seen something to do with marketing, right? And I've never ever heard this phrase before, right? So Dave got a spam email today. Let me see if I can read it. It says, "Hi Dave, I would like to do a feature story about Toomey Digital. It will be published at blah 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 blah. It's a business news website with worldwide audience covering innovative companies." They must have got the wrong people, Dave. Please note, there is a symbolic fee for this. I love that expression, symbolic fee. So, guys, in future of my courses, all my courses are going to be free, but I will have a symbolic fee.
All of my nutritional supplements are now free, but you need to. It's a symbolic fee.
Symbolic fee. Yeah, just to prove you're serious.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that is. I wonder if they split tested that. Right. Anyway, now we are going to talk about emails, and we talk about writing emails and how we write emails and where emails come from, because emails come from the ether.
Yes, they do.
They just suddenly come from the ether, and we, by the end of today's show, we hope that you can write an email. In fact, set this as a goal for yourself. Write an email. When we finish, just sit down and write a quick email. Only best be 3 or 4 paragraphs, and compare it to any previous ones that you have compared. Right.
I say the reason why we're talking about this is because I mentioned to Mark earlier in the week, and I was like, that 5K method program that you've got, I've never actually seen it because I don't have access to it. And I was like,
I charged him a symbolic fee.
He charged me a symbolic fee, yeah. I told him where to shove his symbolic fee. It was interesting. I was going through parts of it yesterday, and one of the subjects was to do with actually how to write an email. And part of the structure that Mark suggests in the 5K method is to reverse the way.
Let me phrase it properly. I think you said, Mark, that is pure genius.
I wouldn't go that far, Mark. Oh dear. Hold on a second. I'm just going to.
Welcome to this video.
I'm not going to show this, but like
call to action.
So basically, Mark suggests when you write an email that you write it backwards, and there's basically 4 sections to any email. There's your introduction, the main content, the transition, and the call to action. And actually, the easiest way to write it, and it works, it definitely does work, is you start with what you want the person to do by the end of the email, and you start with that first, and you write out the call to action, so if you're interested in buying blah, 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 go to this page. That's the call to action. And then you work back from there and you go, okay, so what's the transition? You kind of might need to write some of the main content and the transition first before the transition. And then there's the introduction, which is the very first line, which is kind of like your lead. It's the opening line that kind of draws people into the email itself. And if you write it backwards, then you're much, much more likely to achieve the result that you want to achieve with your actual email. So I was trying this out this morning, actually, because I tend to write things because I just start with a blank sheet and a go, because I've been writing emails for so many years now. I don't really think about it like that, but I thought, right, let's give it a try. So gave it a try this morning with an email sent out to our Lean Greens audience, and the process of writing the email becomes a lot quicker when you know what the end result is going to be. So if you know that you've got a particular product in mind, so for me this morning for Lean Greens, I had 2 products in mind that don't get bought quite as often as some of our other products. And I was like, how can I get people to be interested in that? So I started with a call to action, which was basically go buy this product. And then I was like, okay, so what can I talk about with these 2 products, and how can I relate it back to a story that I have that will capture the interest of my reader? And I work back from there. So I can go through the email if you want.
Mark. Sure, why not?
Let's go through that. What's the best way?
I'll call up the screen or not?
Sorry?
Share the screen?
Yeah, I'll share my screen. So give me a second. Share screen. Share screen. Share screen. Yeah, let's do the entire screen. Share. This will create a there we go. So hopefully you can
let me make that. Okay, there you go.
Oh, actually, let's show you in Klaviyo. That might be a better place to show you. Boom, 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 boom. View campaign. I've literally only just sent it about sort of 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, that looks better.
So there we go. So the way I started it was I wrote this bit at the bottom first. Okay. So if you want special products that folk don't order from Lean Greens, I strongly suggest Drift Off, Good Fats, or our Everyday Health Bundle. And I have them listed below anyway, but that was basically the call to action. Okay. So the way that I went back and I thought, right, how can I present these products in a way that I can relate to a story? So I was thinking about, okay, so when I go to a restaurant, I like to order things that are a little bit different. I don't buy the normal stuff like, the chicken and chips, or like, ham, egg and chips, or burger and chips, or, a sticky toffee pudding, because it's kind of like, well, that's boring. It's what everybody buys. And it kind of reminded me of when I used to work in restaurants years and years ago when I was at school. And it reminded me of working with chefs, and what chefs like to do is they like making interesting stuff. They don't like making the boring, ordinary, kind of common menu items. They get bored of that, and they get a real kick out of making something a bit different. So it reminded me of, so basically when I go into a restaurant, I ask the question, what's the dish that no one orders but should? So I'll ask the restaurant staff, what's the one dish that no one orders but should? And that's basically the way that I structured the email, is around that. So I told the story about, during my school years, a long time ago, I used to work in restaurants in the kitchen. Everything you see in about chefs on the TV is true. They're bad-tempered, irritable, and grumpy. But there's all sorts of things that a chef gets grumpy about. One of them is boring and predictable menu choices. Yep. So that's kind of the way that we try and break up the email to
ham, egg, and chips. Walked in the restaurant the other day and said, "Can I order off menu? Can I have ham, egg, and chips, please?"
Oh dear. I mentioned that it doesn't work in Nando's or other chain restaurants. What happens is you get a chef excited about creating their favorite dish, and you get awesome food. And then there's the transition. Okay, so the transition is this line here. Here at Lean Greens, we have 2 menu items just like this, or like this. And it's basically transitioning from the story to what I actually want to tell them about is 2 products that people don't buy so much from us, but really should.
Okay. That's a really good example of a transition. So a transition can be a paragraph. It can even be one line.
Yeah.
It's just a way of taking your main story content and then just moving on to, by the way, here's what here's what the real email's about.
Yeah, here's where I'm actually going to pitch you something.
Yeah.
But I wanted to sort of get people's attention, get them reading. I can't remember the headline. What headline did I use for this? Subject: what's the dish no one orders? Preview text is how to eat the best food at a restaurant. So it's nothing to do with like nutritional supplements or like selling them green powder or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's something that they might be interested in, and we know that a lot of our customers are foodie type people. Certainly from the demographic information that we get from have got from our audiences, there's certainly foodie people. And I kind of always try and relate it in. So if you read this paragraph here, so after the transition, I say, as the chef at Lean Greens, whilst I'm super proud of our signature Lean Greens creation, there's a couple of unloved products that really should get your attention. And then I menu item, Good Fats formula. This ain't no ordinary omega-3. Where high street brands have cheap and cheerful, fishy smelling capsules, ours are liquid gold in comparison. So I try and use like really sort of visceral words to describe stuff. And there's a good reason why we do this. So ours are liquid gold. If I click on that and go to the actual page, you'll see our tub and the label image.
Yeah.
Liquid gold. That's the way that why we use those words. Oh no, I've lost the page now. Here we go. Let me go back. And then I talk about menu item number 2, blah, 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 and then a call to action. So that's really it. So I've come up with a story based upon ultimately what I want to kind of like lead people to is the unusual products that they wouldn't normally buy. I've got a story based around that. I've created a transition to it, and that's about it, really. That's it set up.
Yeah. So I mean, you can write emails any way you want. It doesn't matter how you do. You don't have to start from the reverse. But the reason I always teach people to start right at the bottom with the call to action is it then keeps you focused. Because you're always supposed. That's definitely you this time.
And why do people do that right in the middle of like the day? Anyway, there you go.
Right. So I mean, what I do, or what I like to do with my emails is I like to only write an email when I've got something I have to write it about. There's no point just writing an email just for the sake of writing an email. You're just blowing an opportunity. So one of my rules I've always got is, only write an email if you've got a link in it. Okay, when you actually got something to write about. Doesn't matter what it is.
So you don't want to pitch, basically have an email that just goes out that's just like telling a story, because that's like, well, what's the freaking point?
Yeah, it's a big waste. So always make sure that you've got a point to your email. And the reason I start at the bottom is because I want to get to that point. I want to keep that point at the front of my mind, right? So if I did it the other way around, I could write the email, get to the bottom, go, what was this for? Because generally the top has nothing to do with the bottom of the email. So it's, I mean, if you were going to write, so 5kmethod.com, if I was going to write an email today to promote that, okay, and I mean, I couldn't just write about the 5K method for a full email because it wouldn't interest you. It wouldn't interest anyone else. It wouldn't even interest me. So you've got to find a way to switch it up. And that's why storytelling is so good.
Stories are an interesting thing. It's like people go on about storytelling a lot. And it's like people go, oh, well, I don't have anything interesting to talk about. And it's like, no, it's like, for evermore, for the whole of humanity, we've basically communicated via stories.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, which period of humanity you look at, we've basically told stories all of the time.
Where would Netflix be without stories?
It's people go, oh, but I don't have anything interesting to say. I just going to give them information and blah blah blah. And it's like, so what do you do when you go out for dinner with a group of friends? You tell stories. You only tell stories. You don't give them facts and figures. Yeah, you tell stories.
I do. Did you know King Baldwin IV was a leper?
Oh dear. Last week I wrote about I wrote an email because I went to a birthday party, which is unusual for me. I don't ever go to birthday parties, but
Tim does never anything sociable, really.
I'm not a sociable person at all. But it's good for me to get out and actually talk and meet with people. And it was basically a friend's birthday party, and they had all sorts of different friends that they've got, and I'd never met any of them before. But there was one guy I started talking to who works for, or basically set up Food Standards Agency in Scotland, which is quite
what temperature deep fry Mars bars at?
Very interesting chap to talk to, but we got talking about spinach, and it's like, because obviously you get talking about like what you do for a living, and he was going on about Popeye and why Popeye is basically was purely a marketing thing to get people to eat more spinach, more greens. It actually and he was like, oh yes, it increased the amount of spinach consumption by 30% in the US, blah 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 blah. But it was all, but the interesting part of it was that the science behind why spinach was being recommended by Popeye was based upon a decimal point error. So basically they put the decimal point in the wrong place when they did a study on how much iron there is in spinach. So the claim was completely wrong. But it was an interesting story. And then when you start looking into like the basis behind whether the story is actually true or not, that then creates a great basis for an email, because you go, sorry?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was thinking there, when are you going to send this email out?
Well, I sent it out last Friday. So, it's things like that where there's stories. And I told the story about going to the party and meeting this person who told me about the decimal point error, which sounds really nerdy and boring. But actually, it was one of our better performing emails over the last couple of weeks. So, you just never know.
Yeah. I mean, I can have an idea for an email come from two words or something, or it can come from something I've watched, something I've seen, something I've heard. So I am working on, I've got an idea for an email. I mentioned King Baldwin IV was actually a leper king, right? So last week it was so hot I couldn't sleep. I just read about the Crusades. I did about 5 hours of reading about Crusades, and that's how I learned about Baldwin. Then the next day I actually watched Kingdom of Heaven, the film from 2005, right? Just to see about it, and he was a leper in it. And I was listening to Ziggy Stardust yesterday. Right?
What an eclectic life you lead.
Exactly. So listening to Ziggy Stardust, and one of the lines in it is about the leper Messiah. Right, as he was leper Messiah, or followed the leper Messiah. I went, well, hang on, that's 2 mentions to lepers in a week. Yeah. I'm sure I can get an email about this. So watch today's email. I might actually have turned the leper Messiah into an email. But that's an email. Songs can be. In fact, the best email. Tim, do you know what the best email I've ever read is?
Go on.
It's yours. One of yours.
Really?
In black and white. Oh, marketing in black and white.
That was about 8 years ago.
That was for Andre's SOI, wasn't it? Very first SOI.
Autoresponder Madness.
Autoresponder Madness. Right. Yeah. So those of you in the foundation, I will dig. I've actually still got it. It's that good. It's still in my swipe file. I will dig out Tim's email about TV in black, or life in black and white, or TV in black and white, because I've done one about life in black and white in the past, but you did black and white TV.
Yeah, it was the difference between black and white and color TV, or it was life in HD. I think it was.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, but mine was black and white TV for another. Yeah,
difference between old-fashioned TVs and HD TVs when they first came out, and it blew your mind how good HD was. And it was like I was making a comparison between my emails of old and then my emails now that I've gone through Andre's Autoresponder Madness, that everything was much, much clearer. It was my emails were like the high definition version of what they used to be. That was the basis of the email. So, yeah.
I mean, I will actually dig it out and I will post it. But it's you can take anything and apply it and then come up with an email. I mean, it's really not difficult. One thing I think a lot of people should do, I won't say everyone, but if you actually want to write good emails, get a swipe file, find someone whose emails you like. Then every time an email comes in, just sit down and write it out by hand. Do like the old copy hour things that the copywriters do. Just write it out by hand, because when you write it out by hand, the process and the way is in fact getting a process in your head and cementing a process in your head, and you'll see how you get to see how people write it. You'll get to notice their quirks. Ben Settle has his whole vocabulary, his own vocabulary that he puts into his emails. Okay, and it's when you don't have to see one line from an email. That's a Ben Settle, or that's somebody copying Ben Settle.
Yeah,
and
I think the thing with like Ben's stuff, again, it's not all stories, but it's a lot of it is stories. The basis behind his stuff, but he picks out even the really most innocuous thing. It might be like literally a line or a social media comment that he's seen, or a single line that, say for example, his Wing Chun instructor has told him, kind of thing, and he makes a whole email about it. So really it's picking things out in his day-to-day life that he sees, and the way he kind of does it is he kind of like if you ever get an opportunity to meet Ben, he's actually quite an introvert. He's a very quiet guy, really nice guy, and once you get him talking, he's a little bit more outspoken. but his emails, his persona in emails is an amplification of certain attributes of him, which is quite interesting. It makes you realize that whilst it's still Ben Settle, as in he's not creating a completely different persona for himself. He's just amplifying certain attributes. It's kind of like the caricature of Ben Settle. So like, amplifying those sort of like little attributes that, you the little ticks, the little things you notice about somebody, but he amplifies it. It makes it much, much bigger and much, much more bold. And a lot of it is his psychology and his way of thinking that is the things that are amplified. And he uses email as his medium to amplify those things that he probably wouldn't say to your face, kind of thing. So that's the kind of way that Ben is. And I say, lovely guy, absolutely genuinely really nice guy. But when you read his emails, you realize they are there are certain attributes about him that are amplified.
It's funny because just as you were talking about it, symbolic fee, there's an email.
Yeah, exactly.
2 words, symbolic fee, right, got an email, write it out. So obviously, I mean, the whole point of this today is like, hopefully get people writing emails.
It's just give people it's kind of like a buffet of ideas of things to really try. And it's like, and the thing is like people kind of get a bit afraid to send emails. They're a bit worried to like, launch a blog post or record a video or anything like that, because they're looking to create something that's perfect. And I can tell you for free, there's like, I'm almost slightly cringing at the thought that Mark's going to repost an email that I wrote 7 years ago, because I'm sure that there's stuff in there that I'm going, I probably wouldn't write it like that now, or that's not quite perfect. I could have
you can dive in and comment on it.
Exactly. But it's things like that where you just go, okay, nothing's ever going to be perfect. You'll go back and you go, it's not exactly the most perfect thing in the world, but it doesn't matter as long as you get it out there and you get your message across. And ultimately, people ask me, how often should I be emailing? And it's like, well, often enough that people don't forget you, but not too often that you're going to piss people off.
Yeah,
it's interesting that we get for Lean Greens, when somebody becomes a new customer, we have a whole sequence. So we have a customer onboarding, if you like, for Lean Greens. So it's how to get somebody to consume the product on a regular basis, which means that we're sending an email pretty much every weekday for 4 weeks. So like Monday to Friday for 4 weeks, they get an email sent to them. Some people absolutely hate the fact that we're sending all those emails. They get really, really ratty with us and really pissed off. But we have so many people who absolutely love the emails, and it's the reason why they can come back and continue to buy from us over and over and over again. The people who get ratty about it, they generally don't want to buy from us again anyway. They're the people who buy once and never again. The people who read the emails are long-term customers. The people who buy from us every single month without fail become subscribers. And and for me, I don't care if somebody gets ratty about the quantity of the emails or the length of an email. It's more about the people that really buy into what Lean Greens is all about, the values and beliefs that we have as a business. And that's what you're trying to do with your emails, is to kind of like create a connection with the end customer, the prospect, for them to ultimately believe in you enough to come and open the wallet and buy your thing. So don't really worry. You will get people being snarky about like, oh, you're sending another email, oh, fuck off, blah, blah, blah. Really doesn't matter. Tell them to piss off. Well, don't tell them to piss off. Tell them, just basically go, thanks very much. I'll take your advice, on board, and then just remove them from your list.
Yeah. Or point out where the unsubscribe button is.
Well, yeah. Normally I just help them out along that way. It's like,
let me do it for you. But I was listening to a podcast last night with James Schranker.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It was a little bit me. Look how great I am.
Yeah, that's James.
However, he mentioned several things in there. The first thing he mentioned, that when he first started, he could go months on end without emailing. And then he suddenly realized that's a bad idea, because when I email, I make money. And that's genuinely true. When you email with an offer, you make money. He also said that he used to have a list of 100,000. Like, he now tries to keep his list low, around about 5 to 6,000, right? And it makes no difference to his income whatsoever.
Yeah.
So he tries to pare this list down all the time, which I fully agree with. The guys interviewing Matt Wolf and Joe Fear said the same thing. They try and keep their list down around 5 or 6,000. So that seems to be the sweet spot.
Yeah, I don't know whether even if it's that, it's almost like a percentage of it. It's again, it comes down to that 80-20 rule of like there's only a certain percentage of your customers, of your prospects who are actually give a damn enough to read your emails on a regular basis. If people just switch off to your emails, they're generally not great customers anyway. They're the ones who buy one and done or never buy from you, just sucking life out of your list. So why not just delete them if they're not engaged enough with your emails? Just delete them. So, and people kind of get a bit sort of like going, oh yeah, but I've spent money to get that lead, and it's like, well, it's utterly pointless being on your list if they're not opening or reading your emails. So
it's funny because I have an automation that cleans out my list, right? So if someone hasn't opened an email for, I think it's 30 days, 45 days, something like that, maybe 45 days, they then go into an automatic email sequence where they go all the way through that email sequence, and I send them 5 emails, and every single email and every subject line is aimed at getting them to open that email, okay? And then either unsubscribe or continue getting stuff. As soon as I open an email, then they're back getting emails. And they get to the end of it without opening, they're removed from my list. They go to a special dead. I've had to put them in a dead list because the number of people who then come back 2 months later and go, yeah, but I'm not getting any emails from you. Well, that's because you didn't open any for 3 months beforehand. Or people start with a different email address that they never open.
Yeah.
Be careful about. Actually, generally be careful about it. If you've got a PayPal address and you sign up for a product, but you never check the email address that PayPal address is on, you're going to have problems because a lot of people will take you off the list. So you won't get the bonuses and you won't get stuff coming in 3 months' time. You'll be off their list. And then you go, why don't you email me? I think I'm a loyal customer. Well, you're a loyal customer and your email address is not the one you actually use. So be careful about that. I've got a few people that's been a problem with.
I think there's another way of cleansing the list, which is, I know that Ben does this, Ben Settle does this an awful lot, is he does it through his emails. And it's like, whilst there's people who, there's the list cleansing, as Mark's already pointed out, with automations where people don't open emails and don't engage with emails and things like that. The other way of doing it is getting people who read your emails who are never going to buy off your emails. And he purposefully sends very brutal sales pitches about once every 6 weeks or so. He'll do like a big launch for something, and he hammers his list. He'll send an email, or he'll send about literally half a dozen emails in a day. Over the course of a weekend, he'll send out about 10, 15, 20 emails over the course of like 3-4 days. And he does this for twofold reasons. The first reason is because he knows that every time he sends an email, he gets yet more sales for his launch, so he does really well with it. But the other thing is the people that get pissed off by the fact that he's sending so many emails, he's trying to force them to unsubscribe from his email list so that they never get his stuff ever again, which is great because they're never going to buy anyway. If they're going to get pissed off with all of these emails that are coming in for this particular product, if they're not going to buy it, and they just unsubscribe, great, even better. People worry about people being unsubscribing and the unsubscribe percentage. It's like, no, great, do that. Like, be particularly sort of almost divisive on the subjects that you talk about. And it's like, there'll be some subjects that you broach with your audience that you just go, and it's a good idea to do it, is like, I hate personal trainers. Okay, so I will go full on hatred for personal trainers and the way certain personal trainers are. And I get the most bitchy, horrible emails back from personal trainers saying, how dare you talk about personal trainers like this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, why the fuck are you on my list anyway? Piss off. You never You know, seriously, it's like, why are you reading my emails, you dick? But it's a great way of eliminating those people who are never going to buy your shit anyway. So, as you know, if I talk about, you know, people who do, I don't know, I used to take the piss out of people who did Zumba, or people who are overly aggressive vegans or vegetarians, and I would basically send pictures of, like, you know, a steak that I'd had for dinner like the previous night, and like going, oh, it's an amazing steak. Oh, the blood was just oozing out the side of it. It was awesome. You cut it open and the flesh was just perfect. And it's it just puts off all the vegans, because I don't really want the vegans on my list either. Nothing wrong with vegans. It's just they don't make particularly good customers.
They're getting their 5 a day.
Yeah, but our product may be vegan and vegetarian friendly, but we're not particularly vegan and vegetarian friendly business. But the point is it's about...
You can always tell when an email subscriber is a vegan, because they'll tell you.
We'll send you a message.
Yeah, I'm a vegan.
I'm a vegan. Is your product suitable for us? No.
Yeah. Hey, we just lost half our people watching this.
Really?
No. Right. So anyway, let's round this off today, shall we? Emails. Right. Please do write them. Send emails. Okay. Don't particularly plan to do one email a day. I go through phases where I try and do one email a day. You know, if you say I'm going to do one email a day, you get to the point where you're going, I've got nothing to write about.
Yeah.
Right. I have to write an email. As soon as you go, I have to write an email, that's when your muse goes and on a coffee break and you're sat there staring at a screen.
Yeah.
So write emails when you've got something to write about. Okay. You've got something to promote, a message you want to get out there, some education. So I think I've wrote 4 this week, or three this week so far, but that's because I was doing that free stuff about launch jacking. So I had a reason to write an email. Here's a video I done about launch jacking. Oh, actually, I had some questions. Here's another video I done about launch jacking. Okay. And then I had to point out to people, no, I'm not launching anything. I'm just giving you some free information. When you do this course, no, I'm not doing a course. I'm just showing you what's possible.
That launch jacking thing was interesting, actually. If you've not seen it on the foundation, go to the foundation. Mark's got the link somewhere on this page. If you're not a member of
there you go.
the group, go to the foundation. We were talking where Mark was talking about launch jacking. And launch jacking, personally, it makes me feel icky. And I could tell when Mark was recording the video, the way that he's recorded it, he feels a bit icky with it as well.
Hugely.
But it's a valid way of showing you how easy it is to actually make money in this industry, and take the principles of what Mark's talking about within the launch jacking process and do it in a little bit more maybe ethical way, but the principles are the same. The marketing principles are the same, and it got me kind of thinking about the 5K method and why I should be doing more affiliate promotions. And at the moment we have a stock issue for lean greens. That always freaking happens. And I've got literally 2 weeks of basically sat here twiddling my thumbs. So I'm taking the ideas of launch jacking, but in an ethical way, using 5K method. And if you're not doing 5K method, ask Mark about where to get to 5K method.
Let me guess.
5kmethod.com. There you go.
I'm driving this well today.
You are. It's just a great way of setting yourself up to get consistent income. And it's what we've been talking about today. It's writing emails, building a list, creating decent content,
finding a decent product to promote, finding a single one decent product to promote.
Yeah,
that's all you need.
That's it. So well worth looking at. Say the launch jacking thing. It was interesting seeing who commented it and who suddenly got interested in it. It's like you realise this is just a bit sort of icky. It's like it's just a bit dirty, and I don't feel particularly nice about it.
Yeah, because yesterday I was actually chatting to Dave, and I was going through Muncheye, because there is actually one thing on there I'm really excited about that's coming up, and I will definitely do a promotion on it. But
it's Jeff Walker.
Sorry,
Jeff Walker product launch formula.
No.
The formula 3,228.
Yeah, no, the Joey Zotto Fade to Black, because I remember Joey 5 years ago when he first started out as a young kid, straight out of doing an A-level or university degree in film studies, and he looked at online marketing and went, well, I can take how I make videos, and I can make videos. And for 5 years, he's been making videos for some of the top guys, and all these videos are story-based.
Cool.
Right, and so he's now coming back to do another course 5 years later. Now that he's covered in tattoos and a hipster, right, and he's on speed dial on most of the top marketers.
Nice.
So that'd be interesting to see how that course has changed. So I'm quite excited about that. But I went down Muncheye and I was looking. Okay, let's see if I can do an example of launch jacking for people. No, I just looked at it all. I'm like, I can't do this. I physically can't do this. It's just such complete opposite of everything I teach.
Yeah.
Right. But having said that, the reason I put it up there was there are people who need to generate money. They don't have any resources whatsoever. Okay, so with this, you can create a video on your phone, right, or on your desktop. You get a free review copy because all these guys will give you free review copies. You do a review copy, you upload it, and you sit back. That's it. Okay, and then next day you do another one, different product, and you get 4 or 5 products up there and start growing your YouTube channel where you review products. You then switch it over and you start to build a list from people who buy by offering a bonus. Here's my bonus. Sign up here for your bonus. Send me your receipt, and I will give you this special bonus. And that's it. And you build a list, and you're building a list of buyers.
Yeah.
If you make 500 sales next year, you've got a list of 500 buyers. I mean, why wouldn't you? But it's just that the quality of stuff you promote, like, some of it's probably obviously good, but some of it is like, and it's, you know what really got me? I shouldn't really say this. It's the same people doing the same launches as it was 5 years ago.
I was going through the list on the website, and I was like, holy crap, have these guys actually done anything different? Like,
no, they just launch off. Okay, so, I mean, these guys are generating 20 grand a month. Yeah. So why would they? If you develop a thick skin, why not just keep on churning out new, and the names they're calling? They've obviously run out of good names for products now. But having said that, I'll reiterate again, for some people, this will be a good option. Okay, it's not for me because I don't like promoting other people's stuff. I much prefer to focus on making my stuff the best it can be and then promote it, which is why this whole week I've been doing evergreen. I've been building an evergreen funnel. God, it's hard work. But how do you say that? Do you know what the easy bit was? Writing the emails. I knocked out 4 emails in under an hour. That's the easiest thing I've done all week, writing the emails. Everything else is just so, God. I actually I messaged Dave yesterday. I went, Dave, I need you, man. I decided that I shouldn't be allowed any graphic program ever. My graphics were horrendous. And the more I did it, spent an hour doing this, and then every time I tried it, it got worse and worse. It's like all the graphic ability I had was getting sucked out of me. So, Dave, please. I'll stroke your ego for another while. No. Don't let me do graphics, please. Nobody ever let me do graphics. It's just something I can't do. So there's another tip today. If you can't do something, find someone who can.
Exactly.
And come to a nice arrangement with them. And so come to a mutually beneficial arrangement, and then you'll never have to do graphics again. Right. So I think that's about it. 45 minutes, that'll do.
I'll do.
Anything you want to say before we go? Any questions they want to give us? Nope. Good. Next week we have already got next week's guest booked.
I'm excited.
Amazing.
I am.
I'm shocked. I'm going to schedule the call over the weekend. Right. We have got the ex-head of education at Active Campaign. We have got a absolutely amazing guy who does marketing automations. Okay, he can tell you anything about marketing automations. It was his course 4 or 5 years ago was the very first course I bought on marketing automation, and then he moved to Active Campaign, and he's now at Active Campaign. I went, "You're coming on a call with us, mate." So next week we have Chris Davis coming on the call, and I'm really looking forward to. I'm so excited for that one.
No, I'm excited for this one, definitely.
Right. So if you have any questions about marketing automation, you want to know marketing automation, please get the questions in to us this week. System.io. Right, let me have a quick look at that. Tim, talk while I look at System.io.
Talk,
yeah. Say something interesting for once.
Say something interesting for once. When you put me on the spot like that, I can't really think of anything interesting to talk about.
Okay, that looks like selling info. Okay. Drop shipping. It looks like a version of ClickFunnels, and it looks like they've crossed it a little bit, because that first image I can see there is. Hang on. Let's
go back to the original question. What was the original question?
Have you guys ever looked at System.io? So I'm going to have a look here now. So I'm going to share it. I'm going to share it here.
Share the screen.
Right. So it's designed for entrepreneurs and small business owners looking to sell their info products online with no technical knowledge. Okay, so it's a ClickFunnels clone type thing, I think. Sales funnels, email marketing, membership sites, evergreen webinars, affiliate program. Okay. If it's 14-day free trial, no credit. That looks like, okay, the bottom right-hand corner here, don't know where you can see that, looks like ClickFunnels. That looks like lead pages. Selling coaches, that looks like lead pages. In fact, that's even lead pages bloody image.
Yeah.
That's a lead pages image, and that's a lead pages image, which is interesting. Okay, first thing that comes to mind and screams, hang on a second, Mark, right, is this is trying to be something for everyone. Affiliate program, webinar, membership sites, email marketing, sales funnels. Okay. Even top sites struggle to do all those things well. Okay, drop shipping. Okay, who is behind it? That is the main question. Okay, who's right? So I've got no idea who's behind this. Okay. I don't recognize any of these people who are leaving testimonials. Normally, you would recognize one or two of them. ITAWCW. I've got no idea who this is. Okay, that worries me, because there's I know several guys in the past who have done stuff like this, and they don't support it. So I would have to. I'm not dissing them now. We've got pricing. We've got pricing here. Let's have a quick look. I'm not going to diss them without knowing more about it. But I get the impression that this is probably marketers doing software rather than software developers doing marketing. Software developers doing marketing because they stick with it for a lifetime. Marketers just do. I don't know.
I think we talked about it before, like on podcasts and live calls that we've done this, just to software that is proven.
Yeah.
As Mark says, that's properly and has a proper roadmap to who we spoke to last week, Mark.
We spoke to Jim Lacey.
And Lacey from Split Hero, and always a good. He's got a development roadmap. You know what's going to know what's gone in the past. You know how well it's supported, and it's that's the way I always choose my software. Is I want something that's going to last for long time. I don't want to have to go through the pain of switching in the future, which is why I use things like Shopify. I use, various tools, various apps with it that are that are there for the long term. It's about longevity. Love it or hate it, ClickFunnels, it's constantly getting developed.
Yeah.
The same with your email software that you might use. If you're using Drip or ActiveCampaign or ConvertBox or ConvertKit or whatever thing that you're using, it's got to be continually developed. Thrivecart is a great example of that. Thrivecart is a genius. It's continually getting developed all the time. And generally, I always look for something really very, very well. I try not to go for anything that is a kind of like mishmash of everything, trying to do all things to all men kind of stuff, because it really any of them particularly well at all. So I'll find recurring billing really well. I'll look for an app that does a page builder that does things very, very well. I'll look for an affiliate platform. That's what it does. It's an affiliate platform. Everything cluster funnels. Yeah.
Hey, David did with a client who uses ClickFunnels this week.
No.
I might be wrong about this software. I did a quick search. It looks like it was released in France last year.
Okay.
So it's a French developer. So maybe I might be right. So that may explain it. So it's worth checking out. 27 a month.
Okay.
Interesting.
Part of me says it's too cheap.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I look at a lot of stuff now and I go, oh yeah, $10 a month. There's no way they can support this for $10 a month.
Yeah.
Which those sort of like red flags that I look at, for whether we are pursuing or not. Yeah.
It is a bit weird that they have got the lead pages stuff though.
Yes, that is weird.
Yeah. Or maybe they just modeled it on that. So
yeah.
Anyway, cool. Okay, my view on this is few red flags. It's a free trial. Check it out.
Yeah, don't buy into it fully. See if it solves the problem that you have.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I would always stick to something that is proven. If they've got
a webinar engine there that doesn't work Hangouts, it's worth it just for that.
Yeah.
See, what I think. Once again, I've got no idea, but email marketing. Okay, maybe that's an integration.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an integration.
Yeah.
So
it's at the moment I have so many bloody page builders and funnel builders that I have accounts for. But for my primary business for Lean Greens, we use a page builder that's at the moment I think it's $67 a month it costs me. And yes, it does all sorts of fancy stuff. It does A/B split testing. It does but the important bit for me is that I can actually build a page with it. Yeah. and as kind of crass as simple as that may sound, that's what I want it to do, and I'm happy to pay $67.
I had one of the biggest compliments paid to me ever this week. I sent Dave a picture of the part of the Evergreen funnel. He went, "That looks good." I know. I was shocked.
Compliment from Dave.
I know. Rather than give me access.
Dear.
Love you, Dave.
So what's on this weekend then, Mark? What's happening?
Arsenal tomorrow.
Arsenal. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
I actually have nothing on this weekend, so it's raining.
You're all alone as well.
I'm all alone.
Sam's away. So anybody up wants to go out for a cycle up in Scotland, or wants to go out for something to eat or a burger who's in Scotland, give Tim a ring.
I can't even go into
I did actually think of looking at and jumping on a flight to Edinburgh.
It's horrific at the moment because it's a bloody festival. So
there's
tourists everywhere.
What, they've got more comedians than us there?
I think we're funnier than most of the comedians at the Fringe.
I think our viewers and listeners would disagree. We're funny to ourselves. Right, that's it. We're out of here.
Yeah.
See you later, guys. Don't forget next week. It's going to be a great show.
Yeah,
definitely. It's going to be a really, really great show. It's going to be humongous. It's going to be huge.